Why do I choose to look like this is the real question. Sega! Welcome to the Sega journey once again. The last two episodes have each changed the format of this show up significantly, and this one is too. Although I do promise I will be consistent after this one. I think I'm going to stick with what I'm doing here for the foreseeable future, unless people hate it. Then I'll just go back to the space slalom format. The changing question... Oh. Hey, buddy. The changing question is that I will be doing 3 games. You heard me right. 3 games in this one episode, rather than the average 1 per episode. No real reason for me to be doing this, I just kind of wanted to. I figured now that I'm not like playing through the games in real time and I'm just like talking about them afterwards, I may potentially have less to say, so I should get as much out of each episode as possible, and this is my way of doing it. So, without further ado, I haven't played a Sega game in a while. Let's see what our first game holds for us. It is called Space Jacker. Oh no. Sam, I love you, but you gotta go. You're a nuisance. This game's actually amazing. Space Jacker is basically your standard space shooter, but with a couple of interesting mechanics at play that make it stand out from other games of its genre and era. Basically, instead of a single ship, you control a fleet of 4 ships. And this is interesting for a couple different reasons. A, having 4 ships increases your firepower exponentially, but it makes you a bigger target. But the flip side of this is having 4 ships incentivizes you to be as mobile as you possibly can, because your firepower is at its best when you're moving left to right, because you get a bigger spread. Additionally, the ships act as your lives, and whenever you get hit, you can continue, but with 1 less ship, which makes you harder to hit, and it makes dodging enemies easier, but you have less firepower. So mechanically, this game's super interesting, and I actually like it a lot. Additionally, the music for an SG-1000 game is actually pretty good. I mean, the loop gets pretty repetitive and grating, but the actual melody is, you know, nice. I really like it. It has the capacity to get, like, stuck in your head. You kind of alternate between flying through space and flying past this thing. I don't quite know what it is. It's like maybe like a space city or like a spaceship you're flying over or something. The game's ultimately very fast-paced and very challenging, but very fun. And it's honestly great. I don't really rate games, but if I did, this one would get top marks. Definitely go play it. Moving on to our next game, we've got yet another naval combat game called Yamato. Now, if you remember, our last naval combat game was N-Sub, and I wasn't really a huge fan of it. But Yamato is good. Really good, actually. It is probably the most challenging SG-1000 game I've played so far. Basically, you're a ship at the bottom of the screen, and you have, like, a machine gun and, like, what I assume is a torpedo, though it visually looks like a little fart coming out of your ship. And this game's incredibly simple, but what makes it fun and interesting is the way in which you have to attack your enemies. Everything in the water needs to be hit with a torpedo weapon, and everything in the air needs to be hit with your machine gun. And you have 2 separate reticles for each weapon. Ultimately, you're always going to be paying attention to 3 things at once. And for somebody like me, that's just very difficult. You're going to be dodging the missiles that you don't have time to knock out of the air, and you're going to be shooting your torpedo at the subs and boats in front of you. And you're going to be using your machine gun to either shoot the missiles coming at you out of the air, or if you want to play it like a pro, you can shoot down the planes in the distance and dodge the missiles coming at you. It can be pretty complicated keeping track of these three things at once, but pulling off something like simultaneously shooting down a plane and torpedoing a boat is incredibly satisfying. So yeah, it's a hard game. If you like to be challenged, then absolutely try it out. But if you're easily frustrated by games that ask several things of you at once, probably not for you. I had fun with it, but honestly, I prefer Starjacker. Okay, 2 out of 3 games down. We're on a roll. I've stumbled across 2 very good SG-1000 games, and I'm more than excited to dive into our last game of the day. I genuinely can't wait. I'm sure it's going to be fantastic. So, let's see what we have. Well, all good things have to come to an end. Zippy Race is bad. It's no secret that I'm not a massive fan of racing games, but Zippy Race might potentially be the worst I've ever played. It's not like the game's devoid of cool concepts or anything. You actually travel through various areas representing different parts of the United States, and the concept of it is a Death Race 2000-esque long race across the entire country, or at least a certain portion of the country. But I didn't even complete this game, even though I'm fairly certain I could, because it's so boring. You feel like you're moving very slowly, even though the speedometer tells you you're moving 200 some kilometers per hour. And the whole game is basically just patiently passing cars and making sure they don't run you off the road, or else you'll run out of fuel and it'll be game over. I kind of like certain aspects of this game, like when you get to the next zone, it actually changes perspective, which is kind of neat, I guess, but it doesn't change the fact that the game's just uninteresting. It's no Monaco GP. At least Monaco GP had the speed behind it. This is like Monaco GP with the training wheels on. So yeah, it's a racing game in which you very slowly and very tediously make your way through 80 or so racers ahead of you. Conceptually, it's kind of neat, and it's probably worth checking out just for that, but it is not a fun game, at least in my opinion. If I were to rate this game, I would give it a drive out of 5. And I'm not speaking jive. That about wraps it up for this episode. We've covered 3 very different and very interesting games. If I had to pick a winner for this episode, it would probably be Starjacker, though special commendations to Yamato for being the most interesting naval combat game I've played so far. Well, once again, thanks for watching. This has been the Sega Journey. This has been Panda, and I'm not doing this look again. By the way, it should be stated I'm not being paid by Jameson. I just happen to own this hat, and I think it looks quite nice. Sue me. Actually, please don't do that. Hope you enjoyed what... Hope you enjoyed watching. I'll see you on the next episode. Peace! This is Sega Journey ASMR. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I know I did. ASMR is really weird. I don't think I get it.